Hello everybody, my name is NCSO7 here and welcome to another review video. So it's been almost, not really, a week since Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury came out for the Nintendo Switch, and I've beaten both games and I'm gonna review them. Now this review will be very similar to my other ones, however, when I talk about a certain category, I'll talk about the stuff in 3D World first, then talk about Bowser's Fury. So I'll kind of divide the video that way. Categories will still be same though, but with that out of the way, let's just hop right into this. We're starting with the presentation with Super Mario 3D World. Now, Super Mario 3D World, already honestly, even when the Wii U game came out, is still a really nice looking Mario game. Even though everything does look kind of plasticky, and not like how Odyssey looks, it still looks really nice in its own way, and it just really sparks with colors and bright colors, and just looks really nice in general. I will still say, while it isn't the most beautiful Mario game ever made, it's still really good, and it still performs very well. Performance is same, I think, still 1080p 60 FPS, and it also still runs at 60 FPS in handheld mode. It still looks really solid though. It's really, really good to look at. And Bowser's Fury though, I don't know. I think it honestly looks better than Mario 3D World sometimes, but also sometimes not. Now, Bowser's Fury is not made up of individual levels, but it's made up of a bigger world, which is nice, but I will be honest, I'd say Bowser's Fury, the only real issue with that game when it comes to the presentation of the world and whatnot, is that there's a lot of dead space. There's a lot of water, and I'll get into this later, but there's a lot of water, so it doesn't look nearly as good as 3D World, but it still sparks a lot, with character animations looking really nice and whatnot. Though, one thing I will say though, is that in handheld mode, Bowser's Fury only runs at 30 FPS, which is very sad, and it looks really ugly next to 3D World that can run at 60, but it's not the worst thing ever. I can kind of understand why, but it's still a little annoying, but that's pretty much presentation. Overall, it's really good for both games. And finally, next, story. Now, story isn't really big in these games. 3D World, Bowser kidnaps fairies. For what reason? He's evil. You just go save them. And in Bowser's Fury, it's a little more interesting. Basically, Bowser's created this world where he's in also this form where he's basically a huge enraged beast, basically wreaking genocide on the whole world, presumably to kill Mario, and you basically team up with Bowser Jr. to return him back to his original form. Yeah, Bowser's Fury is much better with its story. Now, I'm not entirely sure if Fury Bowser is necessarily just Bowser's enraged spirit, or if it's just a possessed form of him. I'm not entirely sure, but it's still really interesting regardless. And that takes us to the gameplay, which is actually pretty different for the two games. So we'll start with 3D World. 3D World is very basic, honestly. Basically, it's the same as the older 2D Mario games. You get from the start of the level to the end of the level. You get to the gold flagpole. That's pretty much it. There's not really much to say. And while it does sound very simple, that's what makes the game so much fun. Seriously, 3D World is so much fun to play. I remember when I played the Wii U game and it was fun, but playing it again has really showed me how good the game really is when it comes to its design and just how it looks and just how it plays. It works really well, especially with multiplayer. Even if it can get a bit chaotic, it's still a lot of fun, and you'll definitely still get a lot of people throwing their controllers over something happening. It's still the same thing as it was before. Really, really solid, though. And that's pretty much it regarding 3D World. It's really, really solid. Now, Bowser's Fury, on the other hand, is open world, quote-unquote. Essentially, you go through these miniature island areas with Bowser Jr. to collect these cat shines, sunshine reference, to basically restore power to the lighthouses that are all around the world. Also to awaken this big thing that basically houses this huge giant cat bell, so Mario can become freaking Goku. It's so cool. And while it is really cool and whatnot that it is open world, we need to go back to that. I say the game is open world, but I'll be honest, at the same time, not completely. Like, technically the game is open world. Here's a good way to put it. Bowser's Fury is as open world as The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker is. And because technically, while both games are open world, they're divided with, there's a lot of empty space where, and it's very clear that like levels and whatnot are made up of smaller areas. So while it's technically open, it's still pretty much like kind of linear. I wouldn't necessarily say it's necessarily linear, because there's multiple shrines you can find within areas. But I kind of wish they did a little bit more with the whole open aspect instead of just putting water everywhere. But don't take it the wrong way though. Bowser's Fury is a lot of fun to play, and it's really fun to explore. Especially for one reason. Every so often, after enough time passes, huge Fury Bowser will come out of his shell, and that's when things get really good. When you're in the nighttime, in the pouring rain in a huge storm, and you just see this huge, crazy, hideous form of Bowser just shooting lava everywhere, and you're always on your toes because there's no hiding spot. You have to either get a catch shine, or you need to just wait enough time, I think, not entirely sure, to get him away. It's really, really good. Bowser's Fury is very good when it comes to its gameplay. Honestly, I don't really have much else to say. It's just really good. Now, I'm not going to say which game is better gameplay-wise. It really comes down to preference, but both games are really good gameplay-wise and control-wise. They all both control oh so well. Content-wise, the game, for $60, you get a lot. I'll be honest, even if you played 3D World back when it came out on the Wii U, I would still recommend getting this just for Bowser's Fury alone. Now, Bowser's Fury does take around maybe 3 hours to beat it, and like maybe 6 hours to 100% it, which isn't a lot of time, but you need to keep in mind that this isn't a full new game. It's a side mode, and for what it is, it's very good at it. Super Mario 3D World, I'd say like maybe 5 hours to beat it, but if you want to 100% it, I'd say maybe like 8 hours. However though, and I'm not entirely sure if this is true or not, but unlike the original Wii U game where you had to get gold flagpoles on every level with every character, here you only have to get gold flagpoles, only just one per level with any character you want. You don't have to do it like 5 times. You just have to at least get one gold flagpole for each level, and all the stars and the stamps, and then I believe you can unlock Champions Road. I'm not entirely sure if that's true or not because I haven't gone for that yet, but from what I've seen, that does seem to be the case, so thank you, Nintendo. And I'll get into some more of that stuff later, but content-wise, really, really solid regardless. It's still worth your money, though. Especially given Bowser's Fury is just so unique. And soundtrack, I don't even need to start with the soundtrack. 3D World has some great music, some amazing music. Double Cherry Pass, Super Bell Hill, the Bowser themes. So many good songs in the game. It's just so pleasant to listen to the music. Bowser's Fury has some amazing music too, as well as what I would even argue is the best Bowser theme ever. Like the best Bowser fight song ever is Bowser's Fury theme. It's so damn good. And even just the other music, it's just so good. Like when you're riding around Plessie on the water, it's so good and it gives that adventure-y feel, which is what the whole mode is about. It's so good. Both games have a great amount of songs. And before I get into my final thoughts, I just want to touch on one other thing regarding 3D World. How much they tweaked the game and made it better. Now, with other Wii U to Switch ports that we've seen, some of the games were kind of ported without really that much thought. There wasn't really a lot put into them. Like, they would fix some glitches and whatnot, but they wouldn't really enhance the game at all. Super Mario 3D World actually feels much better than the Wii U counterpart. It just feels so much better because, well, I'll go down to some stuff. First of all, characters move a lot faster than they did before. It's not a super big difference, but it makes the game a lot more fast-paced and a lot more fun. And more quick at that. So yeah, I love that. Also, and I mentioned before the whole Champions Road thing, Another thing, saves are just much more fast. The game just loads a lot better. There's not nearly as much just waiting and whatnot. It's just so good. It's all the small things that they tweak that make the game just that much better. It tells me that they really did care when making this port, and they did put their time into it. So, with that finally being said, it's time to go into the final thoughts. Now, this was definitely worth the purchase. I mean, no joke. I legitimately walked 5 miles in the freaking cold to go to my GameStop and back, 2.4 miles each way, approximately, just to get this game and play it. And would I say it was worth it? Yeah, I'd say it's worth it. Don't question my priorities. But the game is really solid, though. But in terms of which one is better, 3D World or Bowser's Fury, I'm honestly not sure. As much as I think Bowser's Fury is a much more experimental and much better idea than what 3D World was, 3D World is still so much fun. So, easy recommend, even to people who played the Wii U game. I'd recommend this 100%. Because of Bowser's Fury alone, I'd pay $60 for that alone. So, on my scale from 0 to 10, I give Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury for the Nintendo Switch a solid 8.5 out of 10. It was really, really, really fun to revisit 3D World again and have it on a better system, and also be able to play the most experimental Mario game we've had since Odyssey, which was like 1 game ago. But seriously though, absolutely worth it. But those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below if you have played it and what you think of Bowser's Fury. And if any of you guys think the Bowser's Fury theme is one of the best Bowser themes. And also, if this is one of your first times checking out my videos, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, because it is completely appreciated. My stuff is great. And with that being said, this is NCSL7 signing out. Peace!